Welcome to this episode of Leadership Live, and today I've got Karen Thrall, who is based in San Diego and is the author of the book, Don't Lose Your Shit at Work. Stay calm, be heard, and this is what brought us to our conversation because we're both passionate about this topic and we want to explore what it's like to be a leader when we are emotionally charged and can lead to anger and everything that comes with it. So we are going to be talking about that. And before we do, just a little bit more about Karen. Karen is a coach and business consultant and has over 20 years of leadership across multiple industries, from biotech to consumer goods, and is a former senior executive of sales, operations, and culture for US and Canada. She delivered double-digit revenue growth while building high-performing, values-based teams, which I absolutely love. And today, Karen specializes in strategic problem solving to elevate sales, boost productivity, and refine communication for lasting positive impact. So I want to begin this episode by saying that leadership under emotional charge is an everyday occurrence because things go wrong, things don't turn out the way we expect, people can and do disappoint us, and it is a topic that we have brought up before in one of our earlier unfiltered episodes on anger. It was episode 81, where Amy and I spoke about anger as information, not something to glorify and not something to suppress, but something to understand a little bit more deeply. And what I'm interested in exploring today is what happens in the moment that we lose it, or the moment that we swallow it. Because in leadership, anger often points to something important, a boundary that's been crossed, a truth that has not been said, or a pattern that has gone on for too long. So what I really want to highlight, and we're going to come into discussing your philosophy on this and some of your story as well, Karen, is that anger at work is rarely just anger. And I don't think we should look at it this way. I think for me, it's often the point where truth, fear, boundaries, power, and identity collide, and we either get an explosion or we get the swallowing and the silence. And I'm bringing in your book now, Karen, because it explores and talks about the third option, staying calm, clear, and respectful while still speaking up. And I think that's the key here. So I would love to begin by hearing your story, because I know you also have one, about what brought you to this work, because you do talk about being emotionally charged and having a temper. And I'd love to hear, what did this anger cost you before you learned how to work with it?
Oh man, it's very freeing to say I have a temper. Got to tell you, because it's such a word we do not use. We don't want to be associated with it because our perception of temper is aggression. It's the extreme version. So if you think of temper as a scale from 1 to 10, we think of temper in the 8, 9, 10 bracket. But what is temper at the 1, 2, 3 bracket? So it's been very freeing to just even come to terms with that. There are things that trigger my temper, and now I need to manage it. So that's that. At the time, I did not admit I had anger. I did not admit I had a temper because I thought there's no way. I assumed it was aggression. What was happening at work is I was exploding unannounced. So I'd be fine, 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 fine. Then I wasn't. I was okay. Then I wasn't. And when I wasn't, it shocked people. It's like I was jumping out of a closet, just roaring. And the way I describe it is I was fine. I want them to hear my words. Oh, they're going to hear me now. Like, I'm fine. They're going to hear me now. But all they heard was the rage. They didn't hear the words when I finally exploded. And it was exhausting.
I just want to say there that I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, because it's like this pressure cooker where you hold things in and hold things in, and you think as a leader, you've got to put on a certain image or front and always be okay. And then eventually it's just too much. And then there is an explosion. And I think the explosion can look different for different people, because explosion can be explosive aggression, as you say, or I think it can also be this absolute shutdown an almost silent treatment that is also just as destructive.
I'm going to do a little commercial break here. I've had the people that have been writing me the most are the quiet, angry people,
Interesting.
because they go, finally, there's a book for me. Usually anger is about the explosion of anger, and very few times do we really get vulnerable about the internal implosion that goes on in us. And so I think there's a lot of people who they just hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, and where does it go? When will it come out? Sometimes it can be a year
Yeah.
later.
True, so true.
Yeah.
And I do want to also just comment on the admitting it. I think there's something very liberating about admitting it, because our culture has made anger a bad thing because of the
Mhm.
behaviors that result from the feeling. And this is something we discussed in our episode as well. It's not about anger in itself is
Yeah.
not a bad thing, but
No.
what do we do with it is the question that we want to ask. So anyway, I know
Yes.
we're back to
Oh,
you
I love it. And
still
this is
discuss all of
perfect. This
that.
is perfect. This is exactly what I love. Yeah. Okay. And on that, on that, the other thing that was very liberating is anger is actually beautiful. When
Mm,
good anger creates good change. So what I learned for me was anger's emotional job is to announce to you something must change. That's its job. It just comes in, it goes, alert, 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 something must change in myself, maybe the person I'm engaged with, or my environment. What needs to change here because your anger just alarmed you? And then it's supposed to go away. It's just here, it's like a cupid. And what we do is we hold on to it, and then we're seething and we're burning up in it. It did its job. And now we go, thank you, anger.
mhm.
Thank you for alerting me to something that's not okay with me. Something in this is not okay with me. And that was also so liberating to see anger as a gift. And it's a beautiful thing because it does create good change if it's used
Yes,
properly. If it's used
exactly.
properly, it's really good.
Exactly. I love this. I love this because it's also so closely connected to what I
Yeah.
believe and how I work with
Yeah.
anger, because anger stems from passion. It's on the same basis. We are
Yes.
angry because we are passionate about something. So, as you say, something needs to change. But also, I want to add to that something important, something that's
Yes.
important to me. It's connected to
Yes.
my values, my purpose, what I'm trying to do or achieve in this world. And when that gets rattled, there's an indicator that is something important to me needs to
Mhm.
happen, needs to change, needs to be created. And
Yes.
I say that the positive side of anger is activism. Activism comes
Yes.
from anger.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I mean, women's voting rights. Look
absolutely.
at, and now it's a nothing thing. It's a
Exactly.
nothing thing. We vote.
Someone
We don't
needed to
even,
get angry about it,
yeah,
angry
yeah,
enough. Because when we're
yeah.
not angry enough, we accept the status quo and we
Yes.
accept the cultural norms or whatever. But when it's enough, we've had it, it's important enough to get angry about and create
Yeah.
change.
Yes. And I think that's the liberating. Like, I want to change, or something must change. It takes it away from me, and I get to actually observe and think through what exactly needs to change. And that's scary because we may not want to admit what needs to change. Like
Right.
sometimes change is, oh no, like you're
Yeah.
coming to terms with that. You're in a massive change in your life, and that can be so scary. And so you
Absolutely.
start reacting. And I've noticed in the workplace when people are ready to leave a company and they're not aware of it yet, all of a sudden they get angrier and angrier, and they're more dissatisfied. They're picking apart things. I'm like, oh, you're leaving.
Right.
It's easier to just get emotional than to see anger as it's time for, yeah, I need to change.
Yeah.
So
Very
yeah,
true.
yeah,
Very true. And can
yeah,
often look like disengagement as well. It's like,
yep,
I'm not actually bothering with this
uh,
anymore because for
no.
what?
And the thing I think anger is gift too, and this is where I'm massively like you can't change my mind on. I'm like solidly resolved in this. It's one thing to regulate your anger. It's one thing to regulate your emotions. That's congratulations. Congratulations. But did you say anything?
Yeah.
And when you said something, how did you say it? Or did you choose not to say it? That's what's missing. Like anger is find your voice, calm yourself down, think through your thoughts, find your voice. And I've noticed because I work with executives, they'll opt out of saying anything. Well,
Yeah.
then anger didn't do its job.
Right. And good,
You're
and I
you're
would even venture to say that even if you manage to regulate that and go back to normal, it's going to come up again for sure. In some way, in some
it
form,
is.
it's
It
going to hit the
is.
spot. It's going to trigger you
Yeah.
again. You're going
Yes.
to, meet it again and again until you
Yeah.
actually find your voice and say something
Yeah.
about it.
It,
So,
it's so true. Oh, and I think that's personally, I can now look back and go, oh, if only I used my voice. If only I used my voice. I have countless, if only I used my voice. If only I knew how to say my truth or how to speak up or how to stand in my own power calmly. It would have been a game changer for me, first of all. I'd have still a good reputation.
I think this is
But
actually connected to a quote that I took out of your book, which is if someone replayed your last tough conversation, would you be proud of it? And I think this is
yeah.
such a beautiful mirror because what do people notice when they replay a conversation? They notice their words, their tone, or the thing that they avoided saying. And that's the thing that sits with them and they
Mm,
ruminate over it
they
until they
totally
kind of,
do.
yeah. So that is a beautiful question, a beautiful frame to
Mm,
to to sit with and work with and say, okay, what do I need to do here as a result?
mm,
I'm going to say it again. If someone replayed your last tough conversation, would you be proud of it?
mm,
Very powerful.
mm,
And I
mm.
know we're still in the middle of your story, Karen.
How long is this podcast? 7 hours? All your listeners are gonna be like, I'm out. I'm out. Like this is 5 hours later. Okay, they're not gonna stop.
We're
Daphne
just
and
that
Karen are not
interesting.
gonna
We're not
stop.
going to do that. We're that interesting. They'll stay with us the whole way. Stay with
There we
us.
go. They will. Go get a sandwich, come right back. Okay, so the hardest part is I had a situation take place to me. My anger was boiling up. It was unpredictable. And it's of course it was I was getting triggered and because it was associated with past things. So the moment where my anger would explode was a symptom of the story repeating itself, like you were saying, it's going to repeat itself. And it was getting really bad. I started reacting quicker, sooner. And I was away on a trip, was like 5 days. That includes travel time. So 3 full days. And I exploded 5 times.
Wow.
So if you think about 5 explosions in 3 days, that's ridiculous. And I didn't, so I go, sorry. And I'm sorry about that. I should have said it this way. It's too late. And I think what happens is if for people that are more reactive with their emotions and say, we go back, sorry, that no, the damage is done
The
because the
damage
debris
is
is still
done.
there.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody who speaks up quickly and like people say you're combative or confrontational or explosive or emotional, you got to rein that in and because it's damaging the relationship.
Mm.
So
Mm.
for those, yeah, you're using your voice. Congratulations. But you need to use it wisely in a good way. And then go ahead, I want to hear
What
your
would you
thoughts.
say that it cost you when you realized this? So it sounds like a moment of truth that became
Oh,
very real for you.
I took the plane back sobbing, staring at the window. I could not hold it. I knew I was damaging relationship. Like even now, I can't. I tell this story and emotions rise up in me because it was the moment I knew I had to change. So it
Mm.
was a gift, but it did damage trust, respect. I mean, I just, what happened to me?
Yeah.
What is happening to me? And I asked my sister, asked my mom, what was I like as a child? I was effervescent. I was carefree. I was easygoing. What has happened to me?
What do you
And
think? Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I know I want to hear. I love it. Please.
What do you think that your anger was coming to tell you, or what needed to change?
Oh man, there was so much. Um, I was a placater, which means no, no. I will deny myself so that you're happy. And whenever I start denying myself, I was angry with myself. Why does it cost me that someone else is happy, but it costs
Mm.
me? So that anger towards myself, and it
Mm.
was building up. And then I didn't have the patience anymore when I felt there were takers in my life. right? So when it was a one-sided, I didn't have the patience anymore. I was fine. And then I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but that's placating. That's my problem. That's my problem. Placating, it looks noble because it looks like it's serving the other person. It's not. It's a
Yeah.
sacrifice. It's denying yourself. And
And I
that
can
was
imagine there's
causing.
very mixed signals there then, because you're placating on the one hand,
Yes.
doing so much for others, making sure people are happy and getting what they
Yes.
want and need. And together with that, there are these explosive outbursts, which is very confusing to people. On one hand, wow, Karen's really amazing person, will do anything, da da da. And the next thing is, well, if something becomes too much or unpredictable or whatever, and then these explosions will occur, and that's
Yeah.
confusing.
Yes. And another one is I'll say no thank you. No thank you. No thank you. No thank you. That's my imaginary yelling voice for the microphone's
Yes,
sake.
exactly. It's
But
true.
I didn't you didn't hear me on the first time. You'll hear me on the fifth.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to stay. I didn't. I didn't know how to say no thank you with confidence,
Mm,
self-assuredness, with no, and
mm.
smile. And oh, I really appreciate you asking. I'm going to pass. No, thank you. And it's so clear to the listener, it's a no, thank you.
Wow.
And
I think you are saying something so important here because what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm wrong, you're welcome to, is that there was something internal that shifted. Because when you were saying no, thank you, and you had to say it 5 times until you were
yeah,
screaming it in your head,
yeah.
or maybe even in real life, people weren't hearing the message because there was something unresolved or unaligned within you. But when you were clear on your own
Oh
boundaries
man.
and what was good for you and what you really needed, that no thank you became much more powerful and heard and
I
actually heard.
I absolutely love what you just said. Like that is a t-shirt. We need to transcribe what you just said. That is it, spot on. When I'm not, what a great way to say it, when I'm not clear with my message.
It won't be heard.
And what caused that? Lack of confidence, self-doubt, um, kind of hiding who you truly are. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many reasons our message gets
Mm,
clouded. But once you start feeling very secure in yourself, the message is very clear because you
yeah,
know yourself so
exactly.
well.
I
You
love
know,
it.
so that
And for
was,
me, oh, it sharpens
I know I love
another
it. Yeah,
point
yes,
that
yeah,
I want
yeah,
to make.
yes,
I'm like,
yes.
that actually it's not about communication. Anger
Ah,
and emotional regulation is not about communication. It's about who you are being in that moment or who you are being in
mm,
general. If you're constantly letting yourself down by taking on, taking on,
mm,
taking on, so that the pressure builds up. So actually, it's not about communication. It's about who you are being as a leader on a consistent basis from
mm,
truly inside. That's what
mm,
I'm really
mm.
getting here from this conversation. I don't know how
Oh
that lands
man.
for you.
Oh, that's so good. Because it does start with you. The anger it's coming at you like it's this alarm clock that goes off in you. So clearly, what are you supposed to do here? What is the wisdom? What are you thinking? How are you
Exactly.
feeling? What's going on in you? Why does this bother you? What like what I had to learn through therapy was I had to learn when that alarm clock hit me, the I call it an alarm clock of anger because it's an alert. I had to learn where it landed, and then that became a gift.
Mm,
So then anger became my friend.
I love
And
it.
I denied anger. You just don't. You're not supposed to show anger or feel angry. It is one of the, it is and well, in the book, I talk about the babies and how we translate a baby's anger into language,
Mm-mm.
and then it stops. We stop really understanding that anger is a natural part of our humanity.
Yes.
And anyway,
And
so
that it has
yes,
wisdom. You just
it
said,
has
what wisdom does
wisdom.
it have for me? And
Yes.
it can really be that catalyst for change within you as well. I'm just thinking of
Hmm.
a client who shared with me that the moment he realized he needs to work with a coach, and that's when we started working together, was when he was having a conversation with one of his employees, and the employee burst into tears. And he had realized that that was the impact he was having in this conversation, that he is causing his employee to cry. And he realized,
Wow.
okay, something's not right here and we need to work on it.
Wow. Wow. I mean, it is like that. I find because even when I took this plane home, I was, it was time. Okay, I can't pretend anymore. I was pretending
Right,
100%.
exactly. It's that
I lost.
mirror.
I totally. And then I went to therapy, and that's when everything started. And I say it in the book. My therapist said, "Karen, you have a temper," and I said, "No, no, no. I was really into like I don't have a temper. No, I would not say that. Sometimes I get upset." That's what we say. Oh no, sometimes I get upset. Well, upset is a version of temper.
Yeah.
Upset is a version of anger. Frustrated an expression of anger, and disappointment is an expression of anger. And
Mm.
so, learning my words and my words like I from 1 to 10. 10 is irate, rage, aggression. But what's my 1 and 2?
Yes.
Nobody wants to be a 10. We don't want to be a 10. We
I
don't want to be a
love
10 at
that.
work. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think that's important. And I think I want to just emphasize this as well, because what you're saying is yes, it's hard for us to admit that we're angry. And maybe it needs a whole long way to go before we are angry or raging or aggressive.
Yes.
But where does it start? And to have the
Yes.
language for that. So
Yes.
disappointment, frustration, upset, what else? Give me more irritation,
Oh, yeah.
irritability.
Yes. Yes.
Any of
Yes.
those emotions are pointing to
Yes.
that um,
Things like I'm
a
miffed.
family of
I'm,
emotions.
yeah, yeah. It bugs me. It's not, it's so, that's so uncool. Like anything where you find yourself having a negative response
Right,
it's
right,
rooted in the
right.
anger
And
emotions.
noticing your trigger, noticing your, I mean, I
Yes.
know I talk about that a lot, the autopilot, because we don't notice.
Mm.
So we like, as you said, happy to say, I'm sorry, and carry on as
Yeah.
if nothing's happened.
Yes.
But
Yes.
notice what actually just happened.
Yes. I mean,
I
it's a
want you
game
to,
changer.
yeah, I want
Go.
you to talk a little bit about the now or later people, because I think
Okay.
that's
Okay.
really a lovely concept that
Yes.
I think would be very helpful. So go
Okay.
for it.
So
And
in
it's great.
2004, I created a workshop. I did not know at the time my subconscious was creating a workshop. I was already on a trek to understand conflict, emotions, anger. I just didn't know. So it's that, I didn't know, I didn't know. So I created this workshop. It was a happenstance and it was scoring really high. And what I did in the workshop is I created this now and later. And I said, you either like you have to lean one way. And I said, you're either going to say, let's talk about it. What's wrong? Can we talk? Why? Just say something. And, you're just being very proactive and getting a person to resolve a conflict with you. So you want to deal with it now because you don't want to go to bed at night angry and you want to kind of move on and restore the relationship and all this stuff. And the laters go, I don't even know what I'm thinking. This is like you're asking me too soon. I need space. I got to clear my head or talk to somebody, but I don't know yet. I don't even know if I'm upset. Like give me some room. And so they're saying that because they don't want to regret what they say. Don't put me in a corner because I need to come with my best words. And so they say they take the later route. So I put everybody and I go, so they go into these two groups. And I said, tell me everything you love about your approach now or later. And so they're laughing and the nows are writing out everything they love and the laters are right. And it's all good energy because it's all positive. And I'm manipulating the room right from the get-go.
Right.
And so then they say, we love this is why we do nows, and this is what's so great about being a now. And they're giving all their list, which is in the book. And then laters give all their list. And I went, wonderful. So you heard each other. Now, what is it about that other group's approach that is not okay with you? That just no, no way. And what's your perception of them? And so then they whispers. People start to talk quieter because they're smack talking the other group, and they're making their negative list about the opposing group. And then they share. And I start with the nows, and the nows give their list, and the laters, the hurt they're starting to feel because the perceptions that happen. they'll say, well, they're wet blankets, they're Eeyores, they freeze, they're cold, they punish us with silence, they walk away. How long? Like they say, we'll talk later, and then it never happens. And then I ask what, and they don't tell the truth. You say, how are you? And they go, fine, and they're not fine, and they just going. And so the laters are like mortified. And then the laters go up and go, well, you're a bully. You're aggressive. You put us in a corner. You're loud. You're scary. It has to be on your terms, your time, your rules. You're disrespectful. And they start, and then the nows are going, whoa. And now, not good. The room is, and every single person in that room is thinking about someone in their life because now they're triggered.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so then we go from there and then we move and we slowly move the group closer and closer together. And by the end, my goal is to go, and now is hot, later is cold, hot and cold equal warm. My job is to create warmth. How do these two work well? Because then the conflict's not about the topic, it's about the now and later approach. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So give us a tip or something to say, I've got a now leader, a CEO is now, and I'm more of a later person. So what do we do
Okay.
about it?
I'm gonna, the easiest one is time. Nows want it right away. Times need time. Laters need time. Negotiate the time. You could say something to a now. I know you want to talk about this right now. Could you give me a couple hours to gather my thoughts, and I'll come right back because I want to resolve it too.
Nice.
You
So
just
really
you
it becomes a negotiation about when we're going to speak about it.
time. Yeah. And later, in respect to laters, they will show up with notes and thoughts and clarity, and they'll go talk to their confidant. I've got 2 hours. Talk me off the cliff. What am I going to say? I'm not sure. They're going to do the due diligence to come back.
Yeah.
But if you put them on the spot, they're going to mumble their words. They're going to
Exactly.
be
They're going to
lost. They're
feel,
going,
yeah, they're
yes.
going to feel even worse because they will not have been able to express what they want.
Yes. And then they'll placate, okay, no, it's fine, because and the nows will take over because their energy's too up. And so the nows will take over and dominate, and then they sit there quietly, and the nows go, great, look
Mm.
at that.
So you're
So
raising a really important point there about the energy. It's the energy that comes with it. And when we have a
yes.
now energy that is so up and raised and volatile, and then you have the later energy, which is very much lower, quieter, silent, reflective,
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
going to work until both of them, I guess it's the old adage of count to 10, like take time to cool off, think, and be able to converse at a level that I don't know, I want
Hmm.
to say more warm because the hot heat has come down and the cold has come up a little bit and they
Yes.
can be with warmth. I love that
Yes.
analogy.
Yes.
Wow.
And then for a now, whether it's a now employee or a now leader, it's okay for you to go, I like to resolve things very quickly so I can get on with my day and we can reconnect. However, that's how I like it. Would you like some time to think or would you like to talk now? And
Mm.
then you'll know if it's a now, they'll go, no, let's do it. I'm here. And they're like this, you'll know right away. Or they'll go, could I have some time to think? And then you're
Yeah.
gifting them time and you're respecting their style of communicating.
And of course, this applies to relationships, partnerships,
Yes, it does.
intimate
Totally
relationships.
does. It
Of course.
totally
I'm
does.
also thinking about, um, say, when a now person has, uh, stayed in this pattern for a long time, and the people around them learn to just be silent and absorb it because that's just how the person is. And it
Hmm.
creates, I would imagine, not a very
Hmm.
empowering environment. And
Mm-mm.
then there's the other one where, it's like in the guise of I need time. Is it really about genuine regulation or is it about just avoidance? I'm not going to deal with
Avoidance.
this.
Yes. Yes.
There's
Especially at
both
work when
sides.
there is a like a undercurrent code of conduct, the appropriateness. And so it's easy because laters can do appropriate all day long.
Right, right.
But are they denying their voice? So I had a VP and he's a later. So his when he would get angry, there would be a redness up his neck. And so he knew right away he wouldn't engage with his team. He was vice president. He would go get a glass of water. Like he was great. I'm like, good for you. Look at you, like keeping it all together. Then what?
Yes.
And
Yes.
he go, well, then I just get back to work.
Yeah.
No, your voice, you will be so proud of yourself when you can hear the wisdom coming out of you because it matters. You becoming later upset, brooding. There's a reason you're brooding, and you
Mm.
want to speak that up.
Mm.
So
And I
yeah,
think there's an equivalence. There really is a parallel, and I really want to draw this out here as well because we're saying that when a person, say, is the later person, so they are able to more regulate and be more appropriate, and then they
yes,
let that thing go and it doesn't
yes.
get resolved and their voice doesn't get heard. The same parallel process is happening for the now people as well, because they just, blurt out whatever it is, have the explosion, it's out in the open, and then they might say, sorry, I didn't mean it, whatever, and also carry on as normal. And in neither case do you actually have place for your own voice. What was important here? What did it
Mhm,
stir up? And what do you want to actually do with it? What impact do you want to have? So it's very much a
mhm,
parallel process.
mhm. Because the nows are messy now with their words.
Yes, they're
They're
messy.
inappropriate with their words. And so the messiness is you're losing respect, credibility, trust.
And you haven't got
Uh,
your message across. And
no,
I
you
can
did
say, I can
not.
also get very passionate. And
Yes.
yeah, I've also learned to work with my anger. And I really understood that when I was saying something in the heat of the moment, when I was angry, no one was hearing what I was saying. They could
Mhm,
only really sense my
mhm,
energy,
mhm,
and that was what was coming across. So anything I said was actually pointless.
mhm. And for me, the turning point was actually a food order. That's what changed when I knew of my healing. I knew I was getting the concept of calm your body, calm your mind, find your words, find your words, find your words. Like it's not just about regulating the emotion, it's about finding the voice that goes with it in a way that's amazing. And it was a food order. I felt dismissed. I felt not heard. And I sat there and I could feel the anger rising up again because that's my trigger. Because my therapist said, when she said, you have a temper, and I said, I don't. And she was very like, Karen, you have a temper. And I was like, okay, fine. And then she was, and once I accepted that I had temper, she goes, sometimes. And I went, oh, sometimes. And it was like, I can say that. I can say I have a temper some. And then she goes, in one or two topics. She broke it down so simple. Sometimes I have a temper in one or two topics. Where she goes, we're going to find out triggers, what those topics are so that you're ready for them and you'll relate to them differently. And that mine was not being heard, being dismissed. Yeah, 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 yeah. Or ignoring what I'm saying and just not considering, not allowing me to be a
Right.
contribution in this
Right.
conversation. Those are big for me because I felt disrespected in both of them. And the disrespect just I was done. I've had it. I'm tired of being disrespected. That's what's going on inside me. And when I go, that's it. I'm tired of being disrespected. Roar.
Yeah.
So
And
with
that's
that,
big because
yeah,
your body responds. Your body responds. And I think
yes,
you also bring up such an important point about noticing what's going on in your body because I think that's your
yes.
first indicator.
Yes. So the
Oh,
food order was the first time I found my voice. I calmed my body, calmed my mind, found my voice, and stayed true to my order. No, I felt pressure to change my order,
yes.
my food. I felt all this pressure, and I didn't. I stayed true to my food order, and no one cared. Everyone was like, "Okay," and I went, "That's it." If I stay true to myself, it doesn't. Everybody moved on. It was not a thing. But for some reason, I would always go, "Oh, sure, I'll change my food order if that makes you happy." That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
And fill in the blank. I'll change my food order. I'll change my mind. I'll change my priorities. I'll change whatever it is to
or
make you
I'll blow up
happy.
and treat everybody with disrespect. And then there's also a whole chain of events that
Yes,
happens from there.
yes. The very thing I don't want people to do to me, I do it in volume to
Mm,
other people.
mm,
So that was when I went, okay, I can do this. I can do this. If I can do it with a food order, I can do it. And
yeah.
I'm very honest about it. when my temper flares, I say my temper's flaring. I just say it. Just like this. I sound just like this. Oh wow, my temper's flaring. What? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, my temper's flaring. Why? I don't know yet. I mean, because
What's going on?
I'm so connected now to
Mm.
that emotion that it's my friend. And my
Mhm.
anger is my friend now, and it's guiding me. And in a way, if I use it properly, if I use it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
I think very, very powerful, everything that you're saying here. And even I know that, I mean, keep going back to that episode because we did give kind of this, well, I don't remember, 5, 6 step process about how to regulate emotionally and speak up and say what you need. And I think that the alignment that needs to happen is super important and the being able to name it. So there's something about,
mm,
first of all, being able to observe that, notice that this is what's happening. Secondly, actually name it. I love how you said, um, I feel my anger rising. I mean, I don't remember what
yeah,
words you used, but something
yeah.
like that. And when you can say that, and so you've taken a moment, you've noticed, you feel it, you can say it, you can name it. And then, that's all part of the regulation together with finding your voice. I love how you connect
Mm,
the two. I think that's really,
mm.
really important.
I've noticed, when you start honing in on a skill or a hobby, and somebody who's not there yet, they're just starting. Let's say it's gardening, and you're like an amazing gardener, and somebody's just starting. They have one plant. You have to remember to talk to them in the early stages because you don't want to overwhelm them. And I've noticed that when I'm coaching, I'll say, is there any anger that you're feeling? Oh, no. I'm like, right, of course. That's a very strong word. I have to tell myself, no, yes, of course they're going to say no, because of course, I said no the first time I heard it. And but I watch the body language and I try to listen to what word would make them feel comfortable. And a lot of times it's disappointed. Do you feel disappointed or frustrated? What are your frustrations? And learning that language. And then many times, once they're comfortable with that, whatever word they want to use that's on that grid, then they start worked up because now they're free to talk about it. And
Mm.
they'll go, oh, okay, now I'm mad. They'll go, oh, now I'm mad
Yeah.
because it's coming out. But I have to remind myself that it's okay to use a softer
Yeah.
word if that can create conversation. What's
And yeah,
unsettling you, or things like that.
yeah, yeah. And you're helping them name it and identify it and notice it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
okay, so I want to ask you for
Okay.
some practical situations, but maybe we could
Okay.
give our listeners some of this. So, in a real workplace moment, someone is furious in a meeting. Okay,
Hmm.
what should they do?
And what role is this, a peer-to-peer or a boss?
Let's say peer to peer.
Peer-to-peer, and the person's furious. Um, and so let's say pretend there's 10 people in a room and this person is dominating with anger. Okay. And if the boss is not doing anything about it, I think that they need to be validated if they're not harming. Even if they're being harmful, I would go, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you have to say. This actually just happened a few days ago with a person I coach. How we're talking about it is not really working, but what you're saying is really matters. We need to put some time aside and come back to this conversation and really pay attention to what you're saying because how it's coming across right now is quite loud. It's overwhelming, and I think we're all taken back. But that doesn't mean we want to shut down the conversation. So
Mm.
it's because the courage for them to speak up caused them to explode because they just couldn't handle it anymore. So that's what I would do. So recently with a chief officer, I said to that person because somebody exploded, and I said, it is okay for you to go, I'm not comfortable in this conversation. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to resolve what you're frustrated about, but I'm not comfortable with how this conversation is going. Can we book a time and just talk about that conversation and get back to the meeting?
Amazing. I think that's very validating. And I think that it does require courage because I can imagine everybody just sitting in the room frozen and, something needs to shift in the energy of the
Hmm.
room. So I think that is a really powerful way to do it. I'm
Hmm.
also thinking about what would happen if the leader has suddenly realized that they are hot and coming on too strong.
Okay, I have a theory
What?
on that one
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. What do they
Most
do in the
lead,
moment?
yeah. Okay, so most leaders, the majority are good people doing their best. They're doing the best they can.
Right,
So clearly something happened. The majority of leaders are just, yes, you've got the leaders that are
right,
whatever,
right.
but let's focus on that 80% that are usually trying to do their best.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that. I actually want to just emphasize that as well, because we're not talking about extreme situations where,
Mm-mm.
the anger is destructive anger,
Yeah.
destructive anger that leads to destructive behaviors. But where
Hmm.
the intentions are actually good, it's just come out the wrong way or something's triggered you and
Hmm.
yeah, okay.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's no
Um,
excuse for aggressive behavior or violent behavior, whether it's, verbal or physical, for sure,
yeah.
emotional. So yeah, we're
So
putting
for me, the leader has damaged the trust, the safety, and the respect. They've damaged in that moment's damaged for sure. And every you pay their bills, so they're not. No one's going to say anything because you just exploded and you took a dominant posture, and so people are going to. No, I'm not. But it's not good. What I strongly suggest is you go to the person you were yelling at privately. Like and you sleep on it, go talk to somebody, whatever. And if it's the entire team you're yelling at, then you go to them privately. Whoever it was, you go to
individually.
them privately and you own it. You own it. And I was out of line. I showed you disrespect. This is uncalled for. You don't deserve to be spoken that way. I let it out on you because my stress levels are high. That's not how I want to have a relationship with you. And I'm very concerned I just damaged our relationship. And I want to apologize to you privately. Okay. Can we talk about this? If I would like to learn from my mistake, I would like this to be a coaching learning time for me as a leader. I need to hear how this impacted you, things
Yeah.
like that. Then you go to the meeting and you say, I just had a conversation with Daphne, and I want you to know that I apologize to her. I was out of line. I was very disrespectful, very rude, and I damaged our trust. And that's something I want to rebuild with her. But the reason I'm apologizing publicly is because I did it publicly. So when I do something as a leader publicly, I own it
Mm,
publicly. And so I'm here to apologize because this is
okay.
not the leader I want to be. Yeah, you do that. And that will restore trust quicker because they'll see the transparency, the vulnerability of a leader. So that's
I
my
love that.
opinion.
I love that. I think you're talking about repair individually, which is important because
Yes.
that person
Yeah.
has been hurt, and repair collectively because there was an
Yes.
impact of your behavior that was felt by everyone. So, and I love the concept of bringing people in to the changes that you are trying to make as a leader, because that helps the change happen quicker and it helps people to support you in the change. And
Mhm.
people will
Mhm.
also notice the changes that you're
Mhm.
making. So,
I
yeah,
do. And also, I would say, even if you're wanting to self-regulate, you know that I do explode. I get emotional. I really would love to rein that in and learn. Find somebody who knows how to do it because not all executive coaches or coaches know how to do that for you.
yeah,
You need somebody who actually has walked it and knows how to do it.
yeah,
So, for example, the reason I say do go privately, then go publicly is because I had to do it. I went privately to the person. We had a blow up in front of the entire, it's an open office. Everybody heard it. Not good. Not good. And they're all like working, oh boy, oh
yeah,
boy, oh boy.
exactly.
It was a peer-to-peer explosion. We went out, we talked about it, we restored it, and then they asked me to do a training for the group. And at the training, he didn't know I was gonna, and I said, hey, I need to say this before we start the training. And I apologized publicly for my explosion. And I said, I talked to him privately, but you need to know that's not the leader I want to be. And his face, he was like, he couldn't believe that yeah, no, you matter to me that much that I'm going to throw myself under the bus here because
Mm,
that's how important this relationship is. And everybody, like you could feel the thickness of the air melt.
for
Oh, so
sure,
you
because
do
people
know.
carry
Yeah,
that.
you do know that you were out of line. This is great, you know? So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I'm thinking about that very same meeting, and just because I know that with anger, we do speak a lot about the kind of explosive kind. And I know we've mentioned the
yeah.
silent treatment, the later people, but I do want to think about in that meeting, the person who has been upset or triggered or is furious and is holding it in, and he's still sitting in the meeting and holding this anger. I wonder if there's something
Mhm.
we can say to them.
Mhm. Okay, my first thing is find your confidant. There is this person in your life that you go, I need you to talk me off the cliff.
Mm,
I am furious.
yeah,
And nobody knows it because you're calm, cool, and collected, but you have to hear the impact it's having on you. So have that person, a friend. You call a friend. You say, I need to tell you what's going on
yeah,
inside me.
yeah.
That is the best thing you can do because what I know is in coaching, I'm sure you have witnessed it many times. It takes about 45 minutes. If I let a leader talk about their fury, about how upset they are, 45 minutes in, they'll start going, and you can see their mind, they're discouraged. What do I do? Like you can just see the depletion
Mm,
after they've let it all out. Now, what are we going to do about it?
yeah,
You're going to have to go say something. I don't want to say anything. It's not worth it. What if they explode again? I'm so tired. I just want to
yeah,
quit, right?
yeah,
And now we have to actually come up with a
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
So that's why I would say if you're brooding or you're giving the cold shoulder or you're holding and you're furious, go talk to somebody, practice what you're going to say so that when you go back to them, it's not the first time you say it out loud. That needs to be the seventh time you say it out loud, not the first.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
Practice. I
would be
think
my
that's
suggestion.
really good. Practice, practice.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
think also that, yeah, I want to go back to that energy piece that we
Oh,
brought up, I think, a
yes.
few times, is that I
Yes.
think you also a quote from your book is your energy speaks first. And I think whether it's the brooding type or the
Yes.
explosive type, your energy says a lot more than your
It
words say. And even
totally
if you
does.
think you're over it and you're not going to say anything and you just got to swallow it, it is felt. We can feel the energy and the tension in a room when someone is having a bad day, just had an argument with someone, whatever the case is, you can feel energy. And I say this to the leaders that I work with as well, is that they often underestimate the energy that they bring into the room and that their people, their teams that are working with them have these senses. They constantly are picking up, what mood is this person in today? How's he come in? He's angry. Was it me? What is he angry about? Can I approach them about this particular topic or that particular? There is a constant sensing of the energy. And I think leaders really do need to be aware of what energy they're bringing in.
Oh, I'm so with you. So with you, Daphne. I can't. If there was any goal I would give people is the energy one. So, for example, um, you and okay, so let's say I'm saying I'm going to a meeting today. That's a fact. I'm going to a meeting today. Oh, I'm surprised. I'm going to a meeting today. That's funny. I'm going to a meeting today. I'm
Mm.
angry. The words never changed. They never changed. Only the energy did. And I love how you said it. We must never underestimate the energy is what they're picking up, not your words. It's never your words. It's always your energy. So when you don't know your own energy and people go, "Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine. Thank you." And they're like, "No, you're not
Yeah,
fine." And it doesn't
exactly.
matter how big your smile is. It's okay to know what is that energy because they're already picking up on it.
I feel like there's so much to say that we haven't touched on. We
Yeah.
haven't touched on the difference between women and men and how that is perceived in the workplace. We haven't,
Yes.
yeah, we haven't spoken so much about. We have said strategies, but there's so much more that we can say there. The wisdom that anger is trying to, or that anger wants to show us.
Mm.
Um, It's been an amazing conversation, but I want to ask you what is one thing that you think we haven't spoken about that you don't want to close off without mentioning?
Let's do the woman,
Okay,
male, female response
perfect.
because there is a perception. So for the women listeners, there's a perception that the women are emotional. There's a label. I'm telling you with all my heart, I coach both men and women. It is not a woman thing. It's not a female thing. It is a human thing. And what I've noticed is in partners, like let's say a boss in their team, if the boss is a calm person, it that boss might hire people that are more passionate.
Or
And
the other way, or gravitate to more to people who are more like them and more
yes,
calm. Could work either
yes.
way.
So in partnerships, like intimate relationships, I mean, one of my favorite stories is a president of an of a software company. He said he's emotional, and his wife is calm, cool, and quiet, cool and collected. And he said when I'm with her, I get worked up, and she's like, "Oh no, he's going to quit his job." But he's the emotional one. And she was the one who contacted me and say something's not right. He's getting really emotional, like things are bothering him. Because that never used to bother him before. And I'm like, I was able to talk to both of them, and it wasn't a female male thing. It's just
Right.
human. Some of us rise up in our emotions, and some of us suppress our emotions. It just is. It's
Yeah.
not a label. So for women and men, I would encourage the men, it's not a woman thing, it's just a human thing. And maybe the people around you are calm, or maybe some of the women around you are the emotional ones, but I can tell you it's equal across the board.
Yeah.
Women will have men that are emotional
Yeah.
around them, and they're the calm ones. So that would be a
True.
myth I'd like to diffuse. It's
Yes,
it's
I agree.
it's
I
not a, it's
agree.
not a woman label thing.
Mm-mm.
No.
But how it's perceived is different. Like I think maybe more
Yes.
accepted
Yes.
um, when men do it than when women do it.
And I think that's part of the continuation of bringing the femininity into the workplace. Like that is still, it's only maybe 100 years old in being very intentional about the workforce being equal, men and women. It's a brand new 100-year-old thing. So we're still ironing out the glitches, and bringing the femininity into the workplace does not mean, oh, you're bringing emotions into the workplace. No, you're just bringing a different form of leadership and a different form of sharing emotions, but it doesn't mean, so I want that diffused. I want that to kind of, that
Yeah.
stigma, because I think a lot of women that are strong and bold, they'll tell me, like sometimes a woman will be called bitchy, or she'll
Yeah,
be,
exactly. Yeah.
when the women come to me, go, no, just stay in your power.
Mm.
Stay strong, stay who you are, so that would be the one I'd like to
Awesome.
diffuse.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karen. This has been an amazing conversation. So rich.
What's
I
so
feel it's been,
fast?
yeah, it goes fast. It goes very fast. And we'll put all your details in the show
Okay,
notes, and people
thank
can
you.
get in touch with you and your book as well. They can buy
Thank
it.
you.
And
Thank you.
maybe just like, what is your parting message for today?
Calm your body, calm your mind, find your words, find your voice.
Beautiful.
Invest in that, invest in finding your voice. Learn how to speak up wisely, powerfully, confidently. Don't compromise that part of you. It's
Yeah.
very valuable.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I want to add to that and say that anger is a messenger, but not always the most reliable strategist. So think of what is the message? And it so links into what you're saying. Calm your body, find your voice, and then decide on the strategy. Don't let your anger
Yes.
dictate the strategy.
Agree. Agree.
So, in closing, I will say if this conversation stirred something up for you, don't just ask, do I lose my temper? I think it's a good question to start with, but don't just stop there. Ask, where am I no longer speaking with my voice, either because I'm coming on too strong or because I've just gone silent? And what are the conversations or pauses that I may be avoiding and wanting to bring more in? And then, what is the message? What is this anger trying to tell me? So
Yes.
in leadership, anger often points to the conversation that needs to happen, or something important that isn't happening, a change that needs to be created, or a value or a boundary that has been crossed. And taking time to notice your pattern and think about your response is absolutely critical. There are resources you can access. Read Karen's book, speak to your coach, or reach out to either one of us. We both can
Yeah.
work. We both do work with this topic. I think it's fascinating because I think the growth that happens when you start noticing and give it the attention that it needs and start changing your strategies, the impact is felt throughout. And I think thank you, Karen, for sharing your story so powerfully, because you've really brought in that personal element and how it's impacted you. And if you found this episode valuable, please share it, pass it on, and do a little bit of a pause for a moment to give us a rating or review. It really does help, and it goes a long way to spread our leadership message. Thank you.
Thank you.